bringing that good music. Yahweh International. New Foundation Production presents.
Just a little food for thought, baby. Just a little food for thought, baby. Come on. Just a little food for thought. Just a little food for thought.
Yeah, it's your boy Keith, and this is the Food for Thought Project. Thank you guys for joining us again here at IMG Studios. Man, what a blessing it's going to be to talk about this, because a lot of you guys don't know. I mean, if you don't know who I am and you're new to me, you could know about me in various ways, okay? And let's talk about that before we get into it, because I want people to understand who I am, okay? So first of all, you have to understand that Arquise, myself, I don't like talking about myself in the third person, or whatever that person they say, oh, he's talking about himself in the first person, or whatever it may be. But I am, first and foremost, a child of God, which is why I always hear so much spiritual stuff from me. Second of all, I'm deeply into the young people, young adults. And I am my professional career, I've been a counselor for a very long time, working with kids with mental health issues, kids in foster care, kids in the system across the board. Doesn't matter where they've been, foster care all the way up to probation. My experience is very broad in that, but I also just work with the regular old family, you know, through just ministry at church and various other outlets, mentoring, volunteering. So I am passionate about families and bringing everybody together through either ministry, my work, or my music. It's nonstop bringing healing and hope. That's just what I do. So with that, that's 15 years deep and more in some cases based off of what the lane is I'm in as far as my counseling or my music. But my ultimate goal is to help parents find different ways to reach their children, because between therapy and drugs that they want to give their kids and all these different things that are at parents' disposal, what I want to do tonight is give you a special tool and something that is very effective. A parent reached out to me and just said, hey, you know, Arquise, I'm struggling with my child. I've tried everything, you know. And when she says tried everything, she means that. I mean, her kid went from being the love of her life to being a terrorist in the home. You know, elementary was great. Junior high came and everything changed. High school was a hot mess. It just seemed to get worse and worse for her. And she has more than one kid, but this specific kid, and I'm not gonna say girl or boy, but just lost their way somehow between peer pressure and social media, just seemed lost and got farther and farther away from God's grace, because they go to church and stuff, and farther away from the parents, and just no communication. Pretty much everything had broke down, to be honest. Skipping school, doing drugs, everything that you don't want your child to do, it absolutely happened. So of course they tried some rehab, and that works for a minute. Look, the birds are chirping. Can you hear that? Well, God must be really happy about this topic. They did everything a parent's supposed to do. They never gave up, but they just said that they needed something else. They needed something to bridge the gap in communication. Because whenever they're in the room together communicating, somebody's shutting down in the room. So if it's family therapy, it could be her getting upset, or the kids getting upset, the father getting upset. Something's always going on within the family. So she just said, Arquise, if you have any suggestions, please just hit me up, you know, just let me know. You know, and I've been kind of mentoring them and off and on for a while since this has been going on. And of course, my approaches are always different. So I want all the parents to listen up right now. I'm about to give you probably one of the most important things I think I've ever told a parent to do in my entire life of ministry and counseling. And I've done it. I had to do it because I had a client. And when I say client, that means I was at work, who I was not getting through to. He hated me and had a deep loathing for me because he only saw me as an authority figure. He hated the fact that all the other kids were close to me and liked me and did whatever I told them to. So whatever I told them to do, it's like, yo, you guys clean your rooms, or whatever I said, the kids did it. And they did that out of respect and love because that's what I gave them. But there wasn't enough respect and love in the universe for him. And can't tell his history, good old HIPAA. But to say that he don't trust nobody is understandable. And I'm pretty good at getting through to the most difficult kids. It may take a minute sometimes, but. So with this kid, what I decided to do, whenever people are always texting me when I'm doing my show, I need to turn it off. But what I decided to do was write him a letter. And what I did is I wrote him a couple of letters. And maybe, I think if I remember right, 3 or 4 letters with various topics. The topics had to do with with the issues that we keep getting, me and him, keep getting into it about. And so I basically said, look, when you feel like you want to, pop off or whatever you're going to do, you feel like you want to be assaultive, you want to be promiscuous or whatever it is you want to do, and you're feeling a little lost, just pick one of these letters, man. They all got they got titles on them, and just read it. And of course, some letters set for a minute. He didn't touch them. Hey, he didn't throw them away neither. That's signal number 1. He did not throw them away. And even if he would have thrown them away, I would have rewrote them. You know what I'm saying? So just want you to know that, even if they threw them away. But what I'm talking about is love letters to your children, okay? This is what I'm talking about. Sometimes when it comes to your kids, it's just like you're speaking English and they're speaking some other language when you're face to face. They're trying to express to you how they're feeling. They feel like you're not listening, and you're like trying to express to them how much you love and care about them, and maybe your emotions are always getting in the way. Whatever it is, there's all this yin and this pulling back and forth between you and your children that gets on your nerves, it gets on their nerves, and then everything seems to break down. Everybody goes to their neutral corners and nothing gets solved. But parents, listen to me. What I want you to do is write love letters to your children. Okay? Marquise, what are you talking about, a love letter? This is what I'm talking about. First of all, let me clarify when these letters should be written. You don't necessarily have to wait until it's a crisis to write the letter. You've been through childhood. You know what it is. You need to think about, what is my child going to be confronting in their journey to adulthood? And yeah, you can still talk to your child, but these love letters are you sitting down to pen and paper, not texting and none of that stuff. Pen and paper, type it up or write it up about various topics that you want to address without being all emotional, because that's what kids don't like. Kids don't like when you are emotional in their space, in their room, talking to them about topics that they don't want to talk about. Sometimes they may listen, but for you parents that just need this extra thing, even if you listen to me, trust and believe, because I've definitely said in some family sessions when things have been said and kids be like, okay, yeah, you told me that, but I wasn't really listening. You know what I'm saying? That happens a lot. So what it is you're going to take a letter and just say, let's just say dealing with bullying. And these aren't letters that need to be thrown away. This kid can keep this letter and refer to this letter at any time, right? You know how when back in the day when they used to have that axe on the wall and that little hammer that says break in case emergency? This is what these letters really are. It's not when you want the kid to read it. It's when they need to read it, when they want to read it. You know what I'm saying? So let's just say the first one's bullying. And especially when your kid gets into elementary school and junior high, you say, hey, I wrote you something. It's a letter. I'm like, what kind of letter? It's like, it's a love letter. A love letter. And you just say, hey, I love you. And it could be one letter, it can be multiple letters. Let's say it's just one letter right now. And say, it's just a letter about bullying, and you don't even have to open it and read it. It's going to make them curious, first of all. Listen, kids, When you tell them don't do something, do they not just do it? So now you say, you could be like, now you don't have to read this letter. This is just like an as needed kind of thing. Like in the case of emergency, you know, maybe I might not be here. I might be traveling. I might be someplace. There might be a situation where you want to feel my presence, or you want to hear or think what I would think without me being in your space, being in your face, or being in this situation. And you can, of course, you can always come to me and I'm going to tell you the same thing. But if for some reason you can't come to me, here's this love letter about bullying. And in this love letter, of course, it needs to come with love, but you really need to put some very pinpoint. Don't get all emotional in this letter, because kids have a short attention span. In this letter is exactly what they should do if they're bullying. Don't make it complicated. Especially when it comes to things like bullying. Some things you can be more intricate and talk about it. So you can be, in the beginning of it, you want to get right to the point. You know, I love you, blah, 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 blah. In the case that you are bullying, here's what I want you to do. And you just kind of map it out for them, you know. And then after you map it out what you want them to do, you might want to share in this letter when you were bullied. It's a love letter. You know, you're sharing and you are connecting your personal experience with bullying, okay? And then there are times when your kid might be the bully. Not my kid. Yes, sometimes your kid might be the bully. So in the letter also, you don't say your kid's the bully, but you reflect on how he should be conducting himself towards others. So that way you're not calling him the bully, but how if he's being impatient or frustrated with people or just don't like people, or just sometimes kids get in bad space and just take it out on the world. And sometimes the world can be somebody who's smaller, weaker, or whatever it may be than them. And then that's how the bullying starts. You know, somebody's bullying them and then they bully somebody too. That's another thing that happens. It kind of transfers and trickles down. So in this love letter, what you want to do is throw them a life preserver. Like you're a lifeguard when it comes to this. You want to, in that way, and also you want to let them know before you give it to them is never throw it away and just put it in your dresser as needed. Like medication that we take when we have inflammations and all that stuff, take as needed. That's what that love letter is take as needed. So as your child is journeying through life, there should be, I would like a couple, you know, hey, write a couple, you got a lot of time, write a lot of love letters. Man, there are so many topics that you can write about to your child. And just think about all the mistakes you made, all the mistakes they're currently making, all the mistakes they can make down the road. You know what I'm saying? So I want you to think about all of those type of things and how to sit down and write these love letters to your child. One of the most important things you'll ever do. It really is. You know, you always think you have enough time to do and to talk tomorrow's not promised. You don't know what's gonna go on. You don't know just think back. As I think back my own childhood, I grew up with a father. If I had a love letter from him though, wow, what would that have been like? I can't even imagine. But just think about how many times where you were ashamed, embarrassed, you coulda, you woulda, shoulda, but you didn't talk to your parents. That's a long list of times. It's just for most kids, it's just not happening, right? So, you know, you have to understand that these love letters are really a true gift. That means A, you took time to type it or write it out, okay? Out of your busy schedule. Because kids always say they too busy. You know, I tried to talk to you about it, but you was too busy. You know, you are always traveling. You're always gone. You and so-and-so. There's a million reasons why kids will come up why they don't talk to you. Okay. And then you'll be a million reasons trying to express that's not true. A million reasons trying to explain. That's why everything shuts down, is everybody's trying to defend their position. So with these love letters, from virginity to bullying to anything you want to talk about. And trust me, there's tons, because purging, binging, self-esteem. I mean, you can go down the list. Girlfriend, boyfriend, sneaking out, doing drugs. I mean, go down the list. Stealing, borrowing, you know, whatever it may be. It's so much stuff. Peer pressure. I mean, you pick one. You know, just internet safety, privacy. I mean, you just writing these love letters and you just want to feel like if you ever get into a space where your kid's not talking to you, that they know they have something. I mean, imagine that your kid is being pressured to do drugs and not like you ain't talked to them about not doing drugs. You know, they've never done it, but the pressure's pounding on them, right? And they don't want to come to you. Why don't they want to come to me? Because now they got to tell on their friends and they don't want to snitch. Oh, but my mom gave me this letter. Let me read this letter. Let me just go through this letter. And various other topics. That's just kind of how it works. Kids don't like snitching on their friends, their little crew, little posse, little homies, but they need to hear from you, even though they've already heard from you. Because all parents tell them, like, don't do this and don't do that. But there's something about that, this authority figure part of it, the kids just be like, oh my God, my mom's always trying to tell me what to do. So these love letters are a way for you to be in his presence when he really needs you. And once you give it, you don't be asking, did you read that? It has nothing to do with that. Once you release it, it's gone. All you want, but what you do want to share is make sure they don't throw it away. You can't make sure, but you ask them like, hey, you ain't got to read these, but do me a favor. Just don't throw them away. Keep them forever. And maybe you'll pass it on to your kids. You know what I'm saying? Maybe when he gets older, he'll be like, look what my mom wrote me when I was like 15. Saved my life because I was doing dumb stuff. You know, and you just keep writing love letters, man. You just thoughts on things, you know. And I think love letters are deep. Like, you can write a love letter about anything. Finances, you think, you know, write a love letter about saving. Your kids always wanted to buy new Jordans and they never got no money, you know. You know, and then they start getting into debt during college, and there's an opportunity to write a love letter about everything. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you might put a little gift in these love letters. You don't have to, you know, and don't tell them. Just might put a little gift card in there or something, you know, that they took the time to read it. You know, me personally, I'm just read a letter. That's the gift. That's all you get. You don't need nothing else because you're part of that I generation. I want this. I want that. So, you know, I'm going to actually say don't put nothing in there now. I'm thinking about it. Nah, you ain't got to put nothing in there. But if you feel like it, whatever. So that's what I want parents to do. I really want parents to take everything that they've been doing, okay? All that good teaching and all of the things you've been doing, that's great. And then within that, what I want you to do is add these love letters. I promise you, just think about it from their perspective. You're not walking in their room, asking them a million questions. You're not invading their space, because y'all know how kids are. Just think about how you were. You know what I'm saying? And just think about that. And just imagine if they're going through a hard time and there's a love letter. They're going through their love letters. There might be 10, there might be 20, who knows? And they see one on depression. Are you feeling, and it just can say, are you feeling depressed? I love you. Read this. And they open it up, and the most powerful words, scriptures, motivational things, or just straight from the heart is in there. Dang, that is amazing. You know what I'm saying? You might have to write 2 or 3 things on the same. You might have to write 2 or 3 things. Don't make it too long, because you know how kids are. But you might have to write 2 or 3 letters on the same topic, just to make sure that you get it out. You know, just in stages, because sometimes a child's experience may be in stages. They may not be having sex, baby. They might be doing other things. So being promiscuous, never had sex, but wearing inappropriate clothes, think it's harmless, not understanding how the opposite sex may see that. Text, you know, what is it called? Texting, when you're sending sexual, explicit pictures through text. That's all that stuff, man. Where do you want to start? This generation here. So that's something I wanted to share with you guys today, man. I think it's important to use as many tools as possible. You got to realize every 20 years, these generations are changing dramatically. In my day, we used to sneak out the house. That was the thing, man. As soon as 10, 11 o'clock, you know, Big Mama's asleep or your parents asleep, you get out the window and you go down the street, you crawl up somebody's side of the house, you creep into a window and you're hanging out, you know, and other things, you know, unless you got caught. There's movies with that same scenario, House Party and tons of other movies. Matter of fact, there's a scenario in Stranger Things where the young guys sneak up to the girl's bathroom, like old school, because it was the 80s. That was just what we did. So every generation, different things happen, right? But we didn't have none of that social media stuff going on. So the social media was school. It was peer pressure. Peer pressure was number one. That dictated everything that went on. So the gossip train and just around town pretty much was the social media of our time. It just was what it was. You know, then you had the slam books and you were seeing things in the slam book like, what? Like, what's this all about? You know, hoping that you were not up in that mug getting slammed. So there's all sorts of ways. Different generations all dealt with same things, but they're almost the same topics every time, nothing new. But what is new with this generation is social media. That is some new craziness that we're going to talk about tonight as well. We're going to get into a lot of the topics with social media, and I've talked a little bit about it before, but not in a parenting kid kind of way. And one of the things, before I play some music, one of the things that somebody said to me recently about the I generation is who made them that way. Because, you know, I was like, gee, I had to think about it. So basically, the parents of the I generation, a lot of people put the blame on them because that generation basically fed into the I want it, I need it, I gotta have it thing. They're the ones that bought all this stuff. You know, bought the phones, bought all this. I didn't come from that generation. You know what I'm saying? What? Boy, you better get outside in that yard and do some mowing. You know, I grew up on a farm and no, it was not going down. Everything you got, you had to earn. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, let alone if it was the parents from 30 years ago, 20 years ago, but this stuff started someplace. So you have to look back, and I don't want to throw everybody under the bus, but the reality is someone is feeding enough of a culture enough of a generation fed into all this stuff to where we got these I generation kids going on right now. Because I guarantee you it wasn't my generation, because I wish you would tell your mama what you want, what you need. And she goes, well, I know what I want. Go get that belt. You know what I'm saying? That's the generation I grew up in, just straight up. It was not happening. Go get a job, you know? So somewhere in between that entitlement kicked in, I would say about, I don't even want to guesstimate, maybe 30, 40 years ago, somewhere in there. You know, when technology really got out there, right around when the iPhone really came out. When the iPhone, that was kind of the first generation iPhone first came out, right about there is when things really started to change, because that technology is what changed everything, you know? So some of that is also that gaming system generation, video game. I call it the PlayStation generation, because, you know, kids were going to school and everybody had PlayStations and Xboxes, and if you didn't have it, it's just nah. You know, just all that stuff our kids had to deal with going to school, the peer pressure. You know, then here comes social media. We thought that peer pressure, nothing can be worse than peer pressure. I got news for you. Social media is a gazillion times worse. And we're going to talk about why tonight. Tonight's about parents, kids, healing, hope, all that stuff, communication. We're going to get it in, man. I'm going to play some music, man. Play some Christ-Sized Soldiers, young ones. It's your boy, Keith. It's the Food for Thought Project. Let's go.
It's your boys, the 415 and the 907, Christ-Sized Soldiers, baby, AKA the Soldier Boys, yeah. And the Lord know you young soldiers is out there, young girls, young boys, trying to do the right thing. He'll always have your back. He understands young soldiers that it's hard out there. And even when your teachers act like they don't care, praying over your food and praying over your test, and everybody sees you're not like the rest. The peer pressure has got you so confused. To be or not to be, tell me what you're gonna do when everybody's getting high and having sex. Keep praying to God to keep it all in check. And on the streets, you feel like you gotta be down, and the Lord don't wanna see you 6 feet underground. Hold it down and remember who paid the cost. And being a young soldier, you don't have to be lost, because He loves you and He'll always have your back. And all you gotta do is keep your life on track. So stand up and be bold and proud. And all my young soldiers singing nice and loud. Come on.
You can't stop us.
That's real.
You can't stop us going down.
What?
Nothing at all.
Nothing.
In this world, boys and girls,
Come on.
hold me down.
I know it's hard and you wondering why. He right there, wiping tears from your eyes.
Can't hold me down.
And if you wanna with the Lord on your side, the fly short, it's gonna be alright.
Can't hold me down.
So we encourage you, young soldiers, don't think that you did so much that God doesn't love you. Don't think that you did so much that you can't turn back. When you fall, get up. And remember, you are a soldier, and soldiers don't leave none behind. Ace Dog.
It goes the block shots, rain from the perilous storm. The pale rider now appears into various forms. There's so many caught behind the enemy lines. Imagination of a peace that they can't even find. Still roaming in the desert of the lost, living off banner, barely standing while the wicked they floss. Do you believe something better than this? Whips crack so crisp on the back of every slave that live. Deliverance, shorty, keep your head up, regardless of the fact. Mama hook, don't crack, just never give up a letter. Soldier, you can make it for sure. Just like a flower in the storm that continues to grow. Sooner or later, man, the sun gon' shine. Just keep your faith in the Lord. Know it's gonna take time. The rhymes came from the rain, soaked down to the drain. Flames came, so I called in a name, and yet I still remain.
You can't stop us now. You can't stop us going down. Nothing at all in this world. Boys and girls can't hold me down.
I know it's hard and you wondering why. He right there, wiping tears from your eyes.
Can't hold me down.
And if you rolling with the Lord on your side, the fly shorty, it's gonna be alright.
Can't hold me down.
One love for all my shorties still lacing. Young ones facing trials and tribulations of a lost generation. I beseech you, child, to stay patient in the midst of confusion and frustration. For it is not worth the life you contemplate taking. Look to Him for salvation and watch dreams and revelations unfold throughout the nations.
You can't stop us now. You can't stop us going down. Nothing at all in this world. Boys and girls can't hold me down.
I know it's hard and you wondering why. He right there, wiping tears from your eyes.
Can't hold me down.
And if you rolling with the Lord on your side, the fly shorty, it's gonna be alright.
Can't hold me down. Can't stop us now. You can't stop us going down. Nothing at all in this world. Boys and girls can't hold me down.
I know it's hard and you wondering why. He right there, wiping tears from your eyes.
Can't hold me down.
And if you rolling with the Lord on your side, the fly shorty, it's gonna be alright.
Can't hold me. You can't stop us now. You can't stop us going down. Nothing at all in this world. Boys and girls can't hold me
I
down.
know it's hard and you wondering why. He right there, wiping tears from your eyes.
Can't hold me down.
And if you rolling with the Lord on your side, the fly shorty, it's gonna be alright.
Can't hold me down.
Yeah, that's Christ Side Soldiers. That's my boy Ace Dog, and of course me, Arquise, aka Wisdom on the mic. Man, yeah, man, I love that song. We did that for the young ones, man. We call it young ones because, you know, sometimes people just don't understand. They don't think young people go through anything. You know, like, you don't work a job and blah, blah, blah. I've heard parents say crazy stuff to kids. And when kids are just sitting there with their hands folded, like, I just give up. You know what I mean? And basically just we wrote that song just to acknowledge young people and the stress, struggles, and everything that they go through, especially when they're trying to be believers. You know, when you trying to rep the King and the Lord of Lords. You go to school and you praying and people looking at you like, what are you doing? Like, but it's serious. It's hard. You think it's hard being a teen, a young person, a child of God? Try, you know what I'm saying? Be a regular kid under that situation. Now be a kid who's a believer, sharing that in the world. That's an additional pressure because now people are holding you up to a standard, or they looking at you like, what you doing? You know, so it really puts your faith. If you're a young person, your faith will be tested. Like, do you really love them? Do you really know them? So we just wanted to let the kids know through that song, like, look, we got you. We understand that it's hard out there. And even when your teachers act like they don't care, praying over your food and praying over your test, everybody sees you're not like the rest. Peer pressure has got you so confused. To be or not to be, tell me what you're gonna do when everybody's getting high and having sex. Keep praying to God and keep it all in check, because on the streets, you feel like you gotta be down, and the Lord don't want to see you 6 feet underground. So hold it down and remember who paid the cost. Because being a young soldier, we don't want you to be lost because he loves you. You know what I'm saying? That's what we really want kids to know. Like, God loves you. He knows you're not gonna be perfect, but he got you. So don't feel like you're out here by yourself, you're alone. And parents, understand that too. We know, God knows you working 2 or 3 jobs and you trying to hold it down and provide. Every parent ain't got a great situation, great job, great situation, kids going to college, kids, having everything they want. A lot of people are struggling now. The middle class, I hate to tell you, has not recovered. Straight up, don't even get me started on that. Y'all know. So everybody's out here trying to just make it right now. Watching the rich floss in front of us and just the poor just decimated, and just, Lord help us, you know what I'm saying? So I just want everybody to just be encouraged, and know that there is light at the end of the tunnel for our parents, for our kids, and that all these storms and situations are temporary, and just stay prayed up, you know what I'm saying? Stay together, stay focused on family, you know what I'm saying? Don't let this world tear apart God's plan. Don't let people and situations get between you and your child. You know what I'm saying? So look, I want to talk about social media. Let's get on that right now. First of all, before social media, peer pressure clearly was number one. I mean, your kid was having a hard time managing all the expectations of their friends and their friends' friends, and the expectation of school, and how you supposed to look, dress, act in this atmosphere. That was hard. That's just difficult, and we're saying before social media even stepped into it. Now, I didn't have a lot of those issues. Unfortunately, I was an athlete, so I was on the upper scale of that thing. But what it did turn me into is an egotistical, narcissistic, just brat, and even in the midst of my own pain and suffering, I still found time to be that kind of person. And that says a lot of how powerful the flesh is, because if you know my history during my childhood is not great, but the flesh is so powerful, it'll override your pain and suffering and have you out here tripping, doing things that you thought you wouldn't do. And back in high school, when I became an athlete, when you see your name in the newspaper every week and everybody's jocking you and you got all these girls, you just lose your mind. And so when you look at peer pressure in school, for the athletes, the peer pressure is the pressure to succeed and to be the alpha male. And there's a lot of stress behind that. A lot of athletes commit suicide every year. I mean, in fact, this year I heard that, I was so sad about the runner, young girl committed suicide because I think she didn't make the Olympics. Something happened. I don't want to misquote that, but something happened. She didn't achieve something and the pressure was too great. And people just assume just because you're an athlete that you ain't got no pressure. The pressure to perform and succeed is pressure. If you're, on every aspect of peer pressure, there is pressure. If you're the straight A student, you think that ain't pressure to keep them A's? If you're the beauty queen or the finest girl in the school, you think that's not pressure to be flawless? If you are not none of those things and you're just trying to make it through school and keep out of trouble and away from some of these bullies and stuff, that's not pressure. There is pressure for every lane of your child's life, no matter who they are. You're not escaping peer pressure. I'm gonna be honest with you, and I love this part of it. The only time the peer pressure is it's never not there, but kids who know God, have a relationship with God, and have purpose with God, the peer pressure is there, but the influence is not as strong. Because they know the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. He's the way. He is the way. So when somebody says something to you, do something to you, you already know who to talk to about it. You know the way. You know what's up. You know how Satan be using people to get at you. You know what I'm saying? So our young people who are tuned in that way, yo, they got it popping. But unfortunately, a lot of kids don't have it that way. That's why we have so many runaways, so many kids caught up in drugs, drinking, everybody's self-medicating, everybody's trying to find themselves. They don't know if they're gay, straight, tri, bi, gender fluid, binary. It's so over the top now. Now, that's before social media. Now we're bringing social media into it. So to me, I'm sorry, I just really believe social media is number one now over peer. Peer is like a second to me. It just adds to it. Social media is the worst thing that ever happened. And I think initially that's not what the goal was. I think it was for everybody to be social. But of course, when they making all these platforms for social media, somebody goes, how can we make money? The minute they say how can we make money out of it, instead of leaving it at the communicating amongst each other level, then it's gonna go wrong, which is why Facebook is always in trouble, Snapchat is always in trouble, because they're chasing that dollar, and as they chase that dollar, they sacrifice all of your kids and all of us with it. So right now, social media to me is the most dangerous platform our kids can be on. And social media is everything. You got kids who will go to school and not speak to nobody, but on social media, they're a beast. They're on there. They are completely a different person on social media. Some of our kids have completely different personas, names, situation, booed up with somebody they've never met before. Man, social media has it's like a completely different universe now for our kids. They looking at they're exploring the world in a fictional way. They're not getting out and experiencing life. It's all visual and within their head. It's all created. And I've talked about this fantasy of social media so many times, because what the kids are impressed with, they're impressed with fame. They're impressed with being rich and famous. And famous don't always mean you're rich, because you can be famous and not have no money too. They're impressed with seeing all these things. I'm not talking about there are positive parts of social media. Of course, I mean, I learned how to do a green screen without talking to anybody. I just went on YouTube and looked up green screen and like, what? And then figured it out. So on the teaching level of social media, yeah, you can learn a lot. Back in the day, you'd have to pay to learn how to play instruments, or pay to do this and pay to do that. Them days of paying stuff is over. Unfortunately, for the people who used to teach that stuff, you can go on YouTube and various other platforms and learn how to do anything. What I'm talking about is the impact it can have on our children when it comes to how people are communicating at your children, bullying and various other things. Those things are detrimental to our children's growth, self-esteem, and a sense of purpose. You have a lot of bullying. You got people bullying on a level that they never bullied before. You thought physical bullying was bad, but emotional bullying is even worse. It just goes right to the spirit, the soul of a person, and it just, before you know it, it's too late. So social media to me has been one of the most devastating things to our young people of all time. They're on here, people can see them. People who never had access to your kids now have access to your kids on social media. Tell your kids to make it private. Okay, mom, I'm gonna make it private. And then they don't make it private, they make it public. And on Snapchat, y'all already know what goes on with Snapchat about these kids doing all this stuff on Snapchat because the video deletes. But what they don't understand is, I'm doing this video and it's gonna delete. But they don't realize that sometimes that the person they're doing whatever they're doing with on Snapchat, that they may have a camera or another phone videotaping that session. That has happened a lot of times to a lot of our young girls who are being promiscuous on Snapchat, not realizing that session is being recorded. And then they find out at school, or they find out through other social media that their pictures, that promiscuous pictures or videos are being shared, and they're like, don't understand how it happened. I'm like, that's not even rocket science. You were being promiscuous on social media, and you were taken advantage of. And kids know this stuff. They know social media better than you do. They know all the bad things that happen, but that's how strong the pull of social media is they're willing to risk their future jobs and situations to be up on social media looking important because they want likes. Likes is like more important than anything in the universe of these kids. I got 1 million likes. I got they like this outfit. They like this eyeliner. I mean, like. They see these likes, it gives them fake self-esteem. You're like, well, maybe it's real self-esteem. No, it's fake self-esteem, because did you know people can pay for likes? That these freaking trolls can send likes to your child to make you think that your child, man, y'all have no idea, do you? You don't know anything about social media. Yeah, social media is basically, have you ever been on Facebook and some advertising just magically popped up about something that you like? Like, wait a minute, how do they know I like Pandora, whatever? How do they know I like this type of perfume? Every time I'm on here, there are all these algorithms that they use to track you and everything you like. So every time you're on social media and they see you're on, they push all this stuff to you because they know you like it, because either you liked it yourself, you clicked on it, or you bought it from some other website and they shared your information. Don't even get me started on all that. Mark Zuckerberg, you're in trouble right now because of what I'm talking about. And everybody else plays dumb. And then they promise they're gonna make changes, right? But at the end of the day, they don't make changes. They say whatever we want to hear, and then they get right back at us. But that's not good for our kids. Social media is not good for our kids when it comes to interacting with strangers or in platforms that are not protected. You know, YouTube can be a good thing and a bad thing. But if you as a parent, how do you monitor all that? Yo, straight up, you need to find ways to, of course, there's restrictions that you can put on phones. I say be diligent, first of all. If I tell you as a parent, if I tell you to not be on Snapchat, matter of fact, I don't even hear about you on Snapchat. My mom, my friends are on Snapchat. You better tell your friends to call or text you. You can't use Snapchat. And if I find out you're using it, you're losing your phone. And then you're not going to lose it for a couple of months. You're going to use it for a year. You need to make the fear of God. Since you can't whoop your kids no more, you need to put the fear of God in them. But whatever you do, parents, don't talk about it. Be about it. Always. They need to have the fear of losing whatever they have. And like, well, you shouldn't take their things. Man, don't listen to nobody talking crazy like that. Just like they were saying back in the day, you shouldn't be hitting your kids. Okay, you shouldn't be whooping your kids and da-da-da-da. You know, back in the day, that's what would happen to us if we were out of pocket. Our parents would just be laying us out, giving us some whooping. But you want to stay out and be hanging out with these kids and doing all this crazy stuff. You come home, you can get that whooping. Now, they'll call the police and do whatever, but they were the first one killing kids. They're out here killing kids now. So parents are like, you don't want us whooping them, but y'all out here killing our kids. It doesn't make sense, right? So when it comes to your child, I know you're gonna do whatever it is you do, however you was raised, you're gonna do it. But when it comes to this social media stuff, you gotta be diligent. You gotta make sure that all restrictions are on the internet and on the phone. You need to talk to your child and not ask them, tell them like, yo, here's what it is. And if you violate this, that means you can't exist in this platform. So I trust you, and until you break my trust. And when you break my trust for a good solid year, you won't even know what a cell phone is. The only Snapchat you're gonna be doing is me snapping my finger telling you go into your room. That's the only thing that's gonna happen with that. The only Facebook you're gonna be doing is my face and you reading the book to me. It'll be something you're just gonna let them know that you ain't the one to be played with. And that social media is not something to be taken advantage of. You need to be using it in the right way to learn some stuff. Show me something that you learned on social media. Make me like social media. What you learn on social media? Well, I learned for girls, they're always into the makeup. I learned how to do my eyebrows like this. Okay, great. You just saved me, $40 from taking you up to the lash place? Great. Learn how to put my eyebrows on? You just saved me some money. That's cool. Well, I learned how to change oil. Why'd you learn that? On YouTube. See, that's what I'm talking about. There's a place for social media. It's just finding a creative way and a positive way to use it. So I just think it just is what it is. I think that's the only way that kids really should be interacting with, texting, you can't get away from it. It's ingrained. But if they're doing something they got no business doing, you know what it is. Phones and all that stuff. So, But you got to be careful with. So before the next song I drop, I want you to understand something. Everything that your kids see in our celebrities and all these rappers and singers is fake. And I'm not going to even get into it because I've talked about it before. But in my hand right now, this is fake $10,000. But you can't tell. You can't tell. It's real good fake money too. This is the money came tell the company from LA that sent it to me. They do all the staging for videos and rappers. But a lot of times these kids see all this stuff and they just think it's all real and it's all as fake as it can be, man. So this money is, if you saw this money, you would just not believe it's just $10,000 and 100. It looks real. You can't even tell. But a lot of it's just these kids, they have no idea. This is why it's so hard on our young people. Everything they see, they just think it's like, oh my God, I gotta have this and I gotta do. Fake hair, fake eyelashes, fake everything on these girls. Photoshop faces, Photoshop this. Everything is fantasy, and they're forcing our kids to live up to expectations that they can't live up to. It's just sad. It got to be like that. So it's your boy Keith, man. I love this topic, man. I hope y'all got something out of it. We're gonna play some more music up in here. It's your boy Keith and the Food for Thought Project. Let's get it.
When you did it his way, but the peer pressures got you falling down. You're so young and beautiful, 'cause that's how we made you. He loves you the way you are. So even if you don't fit in, oh yeah, don't let them trick you into sin. They'll try to say they are your friend, but where will they be in the end? Oh yeah. Tell him what you want. Tell him what you need. Tell him what you want. Tell him what you need. Now when you look into the mirror, you don't see what you want to see. You're too skinny, too fat, too black, too white, and everything you see just don't look right. Now you want to hide your pain. They can't understand your shame. He still loves you for who you are. So even if you don't fit in, oh yeah, don't let them trick you into sin. They'll try to say they are your friend, but where will they be in the end? Oh yeah. Tell him what you want. Tell him what you need. Tell him what you want. Tell him what you need.
Everybody sees really what they wanna see. You gotta believe in the one we call G.O.D. Don't get confused and lost up in these worldly games, 'cause he's the only one I know that can heal your pain.
Let's wasting all your time trying to get him on the line. He's playing silly games, girls, can't you see? But he thinks that he's the best, but he's just like all the rest. Please stop wasting your time. So even if you don't fit in, oh yeah, don't let them trick you into sin. They'll try to say they are your friend, but where will they be in the end? Oh yeah. Tell him what you want. Tell him what you need. Tell him what you want. Tell him what you need. Tell him what you want. Tell him what you need. Tell him what you want. Tell him what you need. Oh yeah, don't you cry. Everything will be alright. And he will heal your pain. And nothing will be the same.
Yeah. It's your boy Arquise, and that's Tell 'Em. That's off of one of our albums. One of the Christ-Side albums, and I love that song because it's really for our young girls, man, just who go through the struggles of peer pressure and all the things that they go through, and I just love that song. And I just want to talk about our sponsors, Yahweh International, New Foundation Productions. Please, man, you guys, if you're hearing this and you're seeing this, that means you see the links, you see everything about what we do. Support the ministry, man. Support what they do. They support the show. They support everything I do. So definitely, man, all my outreach, everything, we've really partnered, and we're getting ready to take the show to the next level. There's gonna be video and stuff, man. IMG Studios here, we are going to another level as well with everything that we're doing here at our studio. So man, it's good. And you know, there's a lot of music out right now. You can go to the site and see the music. And of course, we got Christ-Side HD, the new video is out, which everybody's loving. And we got 10,000 views in like a week or two. And people are loving this album. So it's your boy Arquise, man. I'm just feeling blessed. And I hope you really got something out of tonight. And share it with your kids, man. You get the family together and listen to this show. And it'll touch your heart. You know what I'm saying? It'll touch their heart. You know, but most of all, write these love letters. Take a little time to sit, type it out, write it out. Just give this gift of wisdom and life experience and help to a young person, to a child. And it don't have to be your daughter, your son. It could be a nephew, a niece, somebody you mentoring. These love letters aren't age specific when it comes to people in struggling, who are struggling with various things. These love letters, and you can have older kids and they struggling, and you've been talking to them since they in their 30s and they still ain't getting it. It just be like that sometimes. So I think this is a great gift. I think it's a beautiful gift from the Spirit. It's your boy Arquise, man. I hope y'all got something out of this show, and I'm looking forward to spending time with you next time on the Arquise and the Food for Thought Project. Peace out.